You must have heard these immortal lines that life is a general drama of pain where happiness is an occasional episode. You also have heard that life is not a bed of roses. Yes, I understand that you have understood why I am telling like this. We know that we are amidst these crises, this worldwide crisis. Still, we know that we are very much positive and being optimistic, we should have only positive thinking that very soon we will overcome all these problems. And probably for this problem, we are here for this virtual class. So good morning students. I welcome you to class 10 English class. This is the first class of class 10 English. I welcome you in this virtual class. Now, before I should start, I just want to tell you very briefly about the syllabus. That class 9 and class 10 English question formation is quite same. But from this year, there is a change in our writing pattern and grammar. Now, the question starts with section A, where two comprehensions will be there, carrying 12 marks and 8 marks. Then comes writing. In class 9, you were taught about diary writing and paragraph and all this. Here, in class 10, there will be formal letter. And next, up to this year, in class 10, there was story writing, but this has been replaced by paragraph writing. So this is the new topic that has been included in class 10 English from this session. Now, another change is there in grammar. We know we always like to do this sentence reordering, but this sentence reordering will be missing from your class 10 English question paper. And in place of sentence reordering, there will be dialogue completion or dialogue writing. Not only that, there will be a closed passage, there will be gap filling, there will be editing. So these are the changes in class 10 English. Then come the text part. Yes, I know that we are having two texts. One, first flight, other, footprints without feet. First flight is the text, footprints without feet is a supplementary reader for class 10 students in English. So I am here with the first chapter from footprints without feet, and the first chapter name, as you can see, a tramp of surgery. What does tramp mean? Yes, I can imagine that if you were sitting in front of me, then I could see lots of hands raising. You were raising your hands, and you know. Yes, I know. You know that the meaning of surgery is very simple. It means victory, win, conquer, success, achievement. Now this is tramp and surgery. Here surgery means a chamber, a place where a doctor gives treatment to its patient. So the story will deal about this doctor, the treatment, the new method of treatment that I will tell you. The story has been written by James Elliot. James Elliot was a British veterinary surgeon who tried his hand in writing also. He was born in 1911, died 1995. Actually, when he started his writing, he was very much criticized by the other people that as he is writing only because of his advertisement of his surgery, of his treatment and all this. So he took the pen name James Harriet. Actually, his name is James Alfred Witt. But because of that criticism, he was obliged to take his pen name. Now this is about the writer. Now, as usual, I am going to tell you the story in a nutshell. Then we will come in detailed discussion, explanation, and I will read the lines. I will read all the lines and I will be explaining it to you. I hope that you are having pets at your home. Why I'm asking? Actually, this story is about a pet. Tricky, a dog. Yes, their pet, his name is Tricky, and Tricky's owner is a very rich woman, and her name is Mrs. Pomfrey. Mrs. Pomfrey is so rich, she is having lots of money to expense for her pet. And she loved Tricky so much that Tricky suffers a problem of overfeeding. Now when the story opens, we could see that our doctor himself is a narrator, James Harriet. Actually, this text can be told as his semi-autobiography. So, James Harriet, he was just driving his car and he saw that Tricky with its owner was just walking along the road. And our doctor was very much scared to see Tricky, because Tricky became very fat, and our doctor has compared Tricky with a sausage. What is sausage? Sausage is a cylindrical food item which is stuffed with minced piece of meat. So as if Tricky has swollen just like a sausage. And our narrator could understand that Tricky is not well because of so, and Tricky was also looking very much listless. Now our narrator knew Mrs. Pomfrey earlier, and now Mrs. Pomfrey came to our doctor and told that yes, Tricky was not doing well for last few days and all these. Our doctor told Mrs. Pomfrey that you must give the exercise to Tricky, but Mrs. Pomfrey told a list of food that she used to give to Tricky. He told that Tricky was very fond of ice cream. He told that Tricky was very fond of different kinds of food, and Tricky actually was always ready to eat food whenever you give food to Tricky. So Tricky was very greedy. And that results in this huge figure of Tricky. Now our doctor went from there, but he realized that in few days Mrs. Pomfrey would call him for the treatment of Tricky. And our doctor was really, he was sure. And really after a few days, Mrs. Pomfrey called our doctor, and she was very much anxious, and she told our doctor that Tricky was not feeling well. Actually, he was not eating any food. He was just lying there. He was not doing anything. He has lost all his interest to do anything. So our doctor went there to take Tricky, and when our doctor was going to take Tricky to his surgery, he made a plan. Because our doctor knew that Tricky's problem is overfeeding. So our doctor reached Mrs. Pomfrey's residence and told Mrs. Pomfrey that for the better treatment of Tricky, he should take Tricky to his surgery. Mrs. Pomfrey was not ready for this because she loved her dog very much, but our doctor told that would be better for your dog. So ultimately, she relented, and our doctor had taken Tricky to his surgery. For when in his surgery, different box was made for Tricky. For the first 2 days, our doctor did not give a single food item to Tricky, but only plenty of water was given to him. Now, after these 2 days, our doctor realized that there is a change in Tricky's behavior. As if Tricky now started to show his interest around this. Now, on the 3rd day, our narrator decided to give food to Tricky, and in that surgery, as I told, that our narrator was a veterinary surgeon, so lots of other dogs also was there in that surgery. So Tricky, from the 3rd day, Tricky also started to take food like the other dogs, and our narrator was very happy to see that Tricky was also ready to fight with the other dogs for his food. Now, and in between, Mrs. Pomfrey was so worried that she used to make a dozen time phone call to our narrator to for the latest bulletin. If you take the word from the book, for the latest bulletin about Tricky, means how Tricky was doing and all this. Now, our doctor had told Mrs. Pomfrey that you must not be so much worried, because Tricky is now recovering and he is doing well. Now, listening this, Mrs. Pomfrey actually started to send dozens of eggs for Tricky. Now, our doctor and his companion at the surgery, they started to eat these eggs, and they did not give this to Tricky, because our narrator knew that overfeeding was Tricky's problem. After a few days, Mrs. Pomfrey started to send champagne, very costly wine to the doctor for Tricky. And yes, it was a very enjoyable time for the doctor and his companion. So they started to think that if they would take Tricky as the permanent guest, then Mrs. Pomfrey would keep on sending different kinds of food, different kind of costly food, and it would be a great enjoyment for them. But in this time, in around fortnight, Tricky really got well, and now he became very much energetic. Now there is a change in Tricky's life also, because Tricky had to lead a very lonely lifestyle. Had to live is a very lonely life at home of Mrs. Pomfrey. But coming here, actually coming to this, the surgery at that surgery, Tricky had this time to spend with the other dogs, and he played with them, and actually his lifestyle changed for this last fortnight, last 15 days. Now Tricky also started to enjoy. After these 15 days, our narrator informed Mrs. Pomfrey that you may come and take Tricky with you. Within half an hour, Mrs. Pomfrey came with a large car. This car is limousine car. You might know it's a large, long car. I told that Mrs. Pomfrey had a very lavish lifestyle. So Mrs. Pomfrey had come immediately to take Tricky with her, and whenever Tricky actually saw his mistress, Tricky was also very happy. He jumped over Mrs. Pomfrey as if that there is a happiness in between Tricky and Mrs. Pomfrey, as they were watching each other for after 15 days. And when Mrs. Pomfrey was going out from this surgery, she was very much thankful to our doctor, and she told our doctor that, yes, doctor, it is the trump of this surgery. So here comes, this is the end of this story. As I told you, the story in a nutshell. In my next class, I will be explaining you the story in detail, where I will read this story between the lines. And I feel that you have understood.